Hey, what's going on out there? I'm Sean Devine and welcome into the studio. Today we're going to identify the 3 absolute best studio headphones under $160 US. As a professional music producer and engineer for over 15 years, I have tried a ton of different studio headphones. I want to save you some time and headache today by revealing these studio headphones and also comparing and contrasting so that you can make the right decision about which pair to select based on what's going to serve your needs and also serve you over the long term. Now, there were some important distinctions that I made in selecting these headphones for this list. Number one, they had to be under $160 US. So yes, they need to be very affordable. Number two, they needed to be extremely comfortable. If you can't wear a pair of these studio headphones on your head for more than 20 or 30 minutes, let alone an entire day in the studio, that's not going to cut it. Number three, none of these headphones require external power from a headphone amplifier or even an audio interface. You can simply plug them in to a consumer device like a laptop or your phone or a tablet, and you're good to go. Finally, all these headphones needed to be incredibly capable at a wide variety of studio tasks, meaning production, mixing, recording, or even editing audio for a podcast. However, I did need to distinguish that we left open back headphones out of the list because that's obviously not going to be possible to record with. And I'm also going to say that while you could do mastering with these headphones, I'm going to leave that out for another video where we might be able to include some of those open back headphone models. First up on the list are the Beyerdynamic DT270 Pro that you see on my head here. Now, those of you who have followed my channel, you know that two of my favorite headphone models are the DT770 as well as the DT700 Pro X. And I would describe the 270 Pro as the modern little brother of the 770. Now, the 770s are an absolutely legendary pair of closed back headphones, and the 270 ushers that into a modern era with a much more compact design. They're incredibly lightweight. Traveling or carrying around the 770 or the 700 Pro X can be a bit bulky, and the 270 Pro is just a much more travel-friendly design. They have a removable cable, and one thing that I really love about these is that you can insert this cable on both sides. So depending on where you're sitting or what's going to make sense in terms of how you're oriented with your rig. As always with Beyerdynamic, you get high quality materials that are also easily replaceable, including the headband, the ear pads. Those can be swapped out in the future if you need to. Now let's talk sound with the DT270 Pro. I would describe them as eerily similar sounding to the DT770. They're going to have a full punchy low end, gets down super low into 30 hertz, 40 hertz easily, but it's not hyped and it's not going to mislead you in terms of mixing and production. Now the top end is smooth and it's present, but it's not harsh. It's not going to be as detailed as some of the other headphones on this list, but it's very objective, and it's why it's going to be my top pick in terms of mixing. The soundstage, surprisingly wide for a pair of headphones this compact. Once again, that soundstage reminds me a lot of the 770, and I've had no issues judging panning and stereo spread with the 270 Pro. In terms of comfort, these are exactly what you would expect from Beyerdynamic. You get those cloud-like velour pads. They also have this nice supple padding on the top of the headband, so you don't feel any pressure even when I'm wearing a hat like I am now. Criticisms for the 270 Pro would be sound-wise, they do kind of play it safe. So again, they're not quite as detailed as something like the 700 Pro X. If you want more of that big V-shaped sound with the low end and the top end, you're not going to get that. But what you do get is a very well-balanced response that translates extremely well for accurate mixing and production. Next up on the list are the Sennheiser HD25. Now, many of you may be familiar with these as a DJ headphone, which they excel as a reference in loud environments due to the exceptional isolation and they're virtually indestructible. You can easily replace any of the parts on these headphones, including the actual wires. But I want to point out today that these also have some surprising advantages as a headphone for producers and composers. In terms of sound, there's an important distinction for the HD25 in that they are an on-ear headphone, meaning the pads will sit on top of your ears and not over your ears or cupping them like the other headphones on this list. That gives you a different sensation, and it also creates a different sound overall. I would describe the sound as very exciting for production. They have a deep, impactful low end and just a lot of fun factor in terms of anything that's going to have deep bass and subs. The top end is not as detailed and airy with an upfront mid-frequency response. They require very little volume or gain on your devices to get them relatively loud, meaning these things can go to 11 without distortion, so be careful. The soundstage in the HD25 is not very wide due to that on-ear design, so it's not going to be the best option on the list for mixing. Comfort for the HD25 is excellent due to the lightweight design, and these are the lightest headphones on this list. And talking about comfort, what could be better than forgetting you're wearing the headphones on your head altogether? If you're producing and tracking, moving around the room, maybe you're sitting at a drum kit, moving your head around, you don't even notice that they're on. Another important distinction for comfort with the HD25 is this split headband design, which allows you to adjust this around the crown of your head and get a much more customized sizing with that split headband. A criticism that I have about the HD25 is that this cable is quite short, so you may need a headphone extension cable to give you some more freedom to move around and have flexibility if you're not sitting right next to your computer or device. The verdict on the HD25 is that these provide excellent isolation with the on-ear design. They're the most lightweight on this list. Very exciting low end. It's great for producing and recording live instruments like drums, catching a vibe, and just having fun. So if you're a producer or a musician on the go, the HD25 are going to be the pick for you. Last but certainly not least on the list are the legendary Sony MDR 7506. I'm sure you all have seen these in most studios. They are a classic for a reason. It's because they excel in terms of detail and clarity. They're extremely crisp in the top end, which makes editing and identifying artifacts in your performances much easier. Now, as far as sound, the highs and the high mids are unmatched as a reference tool. As a matter of fact, just the other day, I was in a mixing session and I was checking a vocal on the 7506 and I found a slight click that was in the lead vocal recording. And this is just before I was about to bounce the final master to send it off to a client. Now, I did not hear that click on my monitors. These are like $3,000 studio monitors, but I was able to pick them up on the 7506. I love the 7506 as a secondary mixing reference because they're very unflattering and they're revealing in a way that's objective. When you're tracking vocals or instruments, you want to hear your performance in a way that helps you hear imperfections and deliver the best performance possible. That's why the 7506 are the industry standard for tracking and recording. You'll hear every detail in your recording, for better or for worse. They also have an excellent soundstage. They're very wide and detailed in terms of the stereo field. Sound criticisms for the 7506, you may have heard that the top end can be fatiguing over time. So when you're mixing, you need to be aware that you want to keep levels responsible with the 7506 and also take some ear breaks. You're not going to be mixing a lot of super low sub information with the 7506. That frequency response in the low end is just not going to be as impactful as the other headphones on this list. In terms of comfort, these are just a timeless design. I give them 2 thumbs up. They're still lightweight. The pads they come with arrive nice and soft. They don't have a ton of pressure on your head. I've had a pair of the 7506s for 20 years and the pads did wear out. I did need to replace them, but they were very affordable and easy to do so. There's no removable cable and some of these other parts aren't replaceable. Considering these are still the most affordable headphones on this list, you just can't go wrong having a pair of 7506s around the studio. Some of you have probably seen the MDR M1 in my videos more recently, and these basically take what the 7506 does well. It improves it and gives it more of a modern design. However, they are at a considerably higher price point. All right, y'all, so to sum it up, if you are a mixing engineer and you're looking for the most balanced frequency response, you're looking for a modern compact design, nice comfort, go with the DT270 Pro. If you're a producer or recording musician and you're looking for excellent isolation, the most lightweight, indestructible design, and just a fun factor in terms of sound, go with the Sennheiser HD25. And if you're a recording artist or engineer and you're looking for the most revealing clarity to get the best performances and identify forensic level detail to edit audio, get the Sony MDR 7506. All right, y'all, so those are my picks for the best 3 studio headphones under $160. Let me know in the comments below which one you think is the absolute best for your needs and for your purposes in the studio. Hope this was a helpful video. Much love to you all, and we'll talk to you soon.